Okay, we're with Jackie Ganim-DeFalco once again, and Jack, thanks for inviting me back here because I always learn something, and it's an amazing place. What's going on now as let's see, as we record this, we're 2 days away from the equinox, I think.
Could
Something
be.
like that.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
Spring is coming.
That's the rumor anyway.
Yeah.
So what's going on in your studio?
Well, it's been a really interesting time, Rick, as you know. Lots of time to think over the last year.
Yeah.
So I had really had this idea, and inspired by a lot of my other artist friends, to pick somebody to do a show with and try to design to a theme.
Mm-hmm.
And I really haven't done that before. So it was a real mental challenge. And I picked somebody who I knew was doing a lot of work related to the sea, my good friend and fellow artist Leslie Heffron. And also Leslie was a full-time nurse and recently, launched full-time into her art career. So I knew that she would be excited about doing a show. So that she was a very good pick for this kind of event.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to do something that would play off both of our work. And I had this thing in my head because she goes out every morning and she hangs out with the lobstermen in Pigeon Cove. And so she kept showing me paintings that had some, things related to the sea, like lines and, other kinds of objects that caught her eye. So I kept thinking, line, what can I do with a line? I love that idea. And I moved it into a different theme, outline,
Mm-hmm.
right? At the same time, my challenge has been continuously, how do I use these gigantic pieces of sea glass that I have, right? I have some of them laid out here, a lot in here, see this in the jar.
Mm-hmm.
These pieces really have presented me a huge challenge. And I wanted to use them without making them any heavier than they already are.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then at the same time, like a year ago, come over here for a minute, I was experimenting with leather and sea glass in a lot of ways, right? So this was the first piece I did where the leather really kind of grabs this piece of pottery. And then I wove it into this vintage chain, which was a piece of jewelry that somebody gave me, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, I can do something with this leather. So then the next thing that happened, I was really focused on the line. How do I outline this glass? How do I enhance the glass more, which is always my challenge, right? Started to fool around with this piece with leather. And next thing you know, I'm outlining the glass with leather. And I'm like, wow, I really like this. How can I do this? So I came up with a technique to do it. And then this idea, for so many reasons, this notion came into my head, a line in the sand. This is like a statement. A line in the sand to me is, I've put a line in the sand. I've made a statement. I'm doing this. This is the direction I'm going in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so with that in mind, I called Leslie. I said, what do you think? She said she loved it. So she actually wrote our artist statement, which is on the postcard that I gave you. And we put our heads together around the artistic statement, the theme, and then she started creating to that theme. And some of it worked into work she was already working on. And then I created this entirely new collection, which I'm just revealing for the first time.
All right.
So it hasn't been up for sale or shown prior to the show because I really designed it for the show. And I just kept adding new, interesting, artistic elements to this. I love working with the chain and the leather together. I've found these beautiful findings that I could use to enhance this, and it's all functional. And most of these pieces wind up being pendants, like
Mm-hmm.
the one I'm wearing. Mostly long because they're just such big pieces. You can't really wear them, too close here. And I've done a couple of bracelets. But it's just a very exciting new direction to go in. And one of the things that I felt strongly about since I started designing is I just don't want to copy anyone. Like a typical jewelry thing to do here would have been to try to create a bezel and solder and blah, 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 which is incredible work. It's great work. But it just will not distinguish me from anybody else. And so this sort of combination of unique, just textures, the leather and the sea glass together, And the idea of outlining the glass and catching all the unique, sort of curves and things here. I'm just really excited about it, and I hope other people, hope it resonates with
Yeah,
people.
and to me, not knowing art, Jackie, as we've talked about, it's almost as though you're dealing with one piece at a time here and highlighting that one piece, and it's almost as though that's what that was created for. That shape was created for that particular object that you made, instead of, sort of putting two or three things together.
Yeah.
Because each of those is sort of, for want of a better word, a solitary.
Yeah, they're each completely unique.
And then it's enhanced by the other things
Yeah.
that you put on it.
Yeah, and then just making use of all these, fun objects. Again, you see this famous chain. This was from one of my best friends.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a big chain necklace, had many layers on it, and I've used every single link in that chain now in all these different new pieces. So,
All right, so where's this stuff going to be displayed, and when will people get to look at it?
so we are opening our show, as it turns out, on Good Friday, which is a Friday, April 2nd, at the Jane Deering Gallery between the Cape Ann Museum and Beth Williams' beautiful studio. So there's always plenty to do in that little area. And it's from 4 to 6, our preview, which is by invitation, or anybody that writes to us and asks to be invited,
Okay.
which they can do by sending me an email at Jackie@capeanndesigns.com or Leslie@leslieheffron.com. And then we'll space people out, because it's a very, very tiny space,
Right.
that gallery. And then the show is going to run predominantly Thursdays through Saturdays and Sundays most of the time in April. You just have to double check with us about Sundays. Like, for example, the first Sunday is Easter Sunday, so
Right.
we're not going to do that. But we should be in the gallery Thursday through Sunday from 1 to 6 for the month of April.
Fantastic.
So that's, we'll be alternating so that we can have 2 people in together, plus either one of us will always be there.
Okay.
So that's the beginning, that's the show. And then right after that, I have if it all goes forward, there'll be a Sea Glass Festival in New Hampshire in early May, and then we have the Cape Ann Artisans Tour the first weekend in June. So I'm in huge production mode right now for those. And I wanted to show you one other thing while you're here.
You bet.
Over here, because we're all in the mental space of feeling very grateful right now, as you know. Grateful to our healthcare workers, grateful to our families. So I did do a couple of fun little barrettes with these tags that say gratitude.
Wonderful.
So I wanted to highlight those because that was another little innovation during this time.
Oh, these will make great gifts.
Yeah,
Great gifts.
Great gifts.
Yep.
And as Mother's Day is right around the corner, and all kinds of other things to celebrate in spring, right?